Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bashmi Al-Shai Bashim Rakah HaKodash, and double honors to the head apostles of the great millstone that taught me this truth through the inspiration of the power of the Holy Spirit, which is of Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Bashmi Al-Shai Brakatham to the elect, 144,000, and including the 1/3. And what I want to do is I want to get into something that I don't usually get into, which, this just goes to show you, man, that the scriptures covers all of the gaps. Because you have people that have this issue down here in the UK and other places, of course, of mildew. And when you read the scriptures actually goes into how to deal with that. All right, because really what it is a plague of the house, the plague of leprosy, which can actually kill people as well, especially people that are older, and as well as young children that don't have good immune systems and all of that, which I'm going to get into all of that in some time. So what I want to do is I want to read what I usually do. I read the article first, so I'll start by reading the article first, and then we'll get to the scriptures and stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully this video is going to be edifying as well at the same time. So anyway, let's get down to this. Crack down on moldy homes in England or more will die, warn doctor's body. Right? Doctor's body. The Royal College of Physicians has called on Michael Gove to accelerate a promised crackdown on landlords failing to fix tens of thousands of moldy homes, with a warning that unless laws are toughened, many more people will die from the effects, as the housing ombudsman reported increasing failures among landlords to properly tackle damp, mold, and leaks. In England's social housing, Professor Sir Stephen Holgate, special advisor on air quality to the RCP, warned of widening ill health as more people inhaled fungal toxins. He said consequences include people suffering headaches, low energy, declining of immunity, and increased susceptibility among children to respiratory infections as well as deaths. So that's all I need to read from there. And this is why the law of mildew is in Leviticus, okay? Because this is something that will occur in time, right, to some people. And as I've just showed you in that article, is that people can die off of this stuff, man. Now, if you're a person like myself, I'm in my early 30s, so not saying that the mildew can't mess me up. It'll probably mess me up pretty bad, right? But it's not going to kill me because, for one, I'm not too young to where I can't take it, and I'm not too old to where I can't take it. I'm just in the middle, but it can still do damage. So anyway, let's get into this right here. This is Leviticus 14 and verse 34. When ye become into the land of Canaan, which I give to you for possession, and I put the plague of leprosy in the house of the land of your possession, and he that owneth a house shall come and tell the priest, saying, it seemeth to me there is as it were a plague in the house. And then the priest shall command that they empty the house before the priest go into it to see the plague, that all that is in the house be not made unclean. And afterwards the priest shall go in to see the house. So the house would be emptied with all of the furniture out of it, taken outside, right? And then the priest would go into the house. And as the priest is in the house, as this reads, and he shall look on the plague. And behold, if the plague be in the walls of the house with hollow strakes, greenish or reddish, which is in the sight are lower than the wall, then the priest shall go out of the house to the door of the house and shut up the house 7 days. And the priest shall come again the 7th day and shall look, and behold, if the plague be spread on the walls of the house. And then the priest shall command that they take away the stones in which the plague is, and they shall cast them into an unclean place without the city. Yeah, because all of that stuff is contaminable. So if you're just throwing that stuff in any old kind of place where people may dwell, or even where you may dwell, because in ancient Israel, everybody had their own portion of land and they lived far away. So if you were to put that down on your grounds that you own, that's going to have an effect on you. So what they would do is they would take all of that dust that they've scraped down and put it into an unclean place. Okay? Because as I've just showed you in this article as well as we know, right, that this stuff, this mildew stuff is harmful to the body. Like, for example, your food, when you don't eat certain foods like your cheeses and even your tomatoes has this green algae on it, which is really mold, right? So what do? You throw that away. Now, among these Edomites, they actually eat it like that. They actually don't mind if their stuff got mildew in it. I told one so-called white woman in the store, I said, look, I'm gonna have to get me another one. I'll be right back. It's got mold on it, right? So you know what she said? She said to me, so, and this was a while back ago. I remember that like it was yesterday, man. So these Edomites, the way that they do things is totally different. And that's why the world is the way that it is. Because usually there's a way of handling this stuff, and it's in the law. But you see, in this society, you got plenty of homes that are standing up with mildew in it that you don't even know about. And you wonder why you coughing and, you got a disease going on with your throat. Because it's probably to do with the mildew that's in the house. So let me read some more of this right here. Yeah, where was I, man? Yeah, so this reads as well. Professor Holgate said increasing flooding, more householders keeping windows tightly shut to save energy, and fungus becoming increasingly resilient to treatment in homes as well as in the human body as a result of widespread use of fungicides in farming made reform more urgent. In the 9th month since March, the Housing Ombudsman for England, Richard Blakeway, made 721 findings of fault in how landlords tackle damp, mold, and leaks more than for the previous 12 months and several times more than in 2020 and 21. About 88,000 households in social housing are believed by the regulator of social housing to be living with serious damp and mold problems. And that's a lot of houses. So all of that mildew can contaminate their environment. All right. So again, this is what happens when we live in a society that's not putting in place the laws. And this explains why the world is sick, because you got these devils that are ruling the planet Earth and they're not performing the laws of the Lord. And that's understandable because they're not the people of the Lord. So they're not gonna put all of this stuff to use. As a matter of fact, they're gonna go into the book of the law and go contrary to it, because that's just them being the devil that they were made to be. All right. So now people gotta suffer as a consequence of this stuff, man. So so let me continue to read some more on this, man. Yeah, so from verse 41, Salakia, verse 42, that's where I was at. And they shall take other stones and put them in the place of those stones. And he shall take other mortar and shall plaster the house. And if the plague come again and break out in the house, after that he have taken away the stones, and after he have scraped the house, and after it is plastered, then the priest shall come and look. And behold, if the plague be spread in the house, it is a fretting leprosy in the house, and it is unclean. And he shall break down the house, the stone of it, and the timbers thereof, and all of the mortar of the house, and he shall carry them forth out of the city into an unclean place. Yeah, so all of that, what makes up the house, would be destroyed. And they'll be turned to dust, and all of that would go to an unclean place because, like I mentioned, it's contaminable. All right? So that's how you would deal with it. You would scrape, first and foremost, if it ain't that big of a deal and the mold is lower than the wall, as it mentions, the priest would come in, and then the people would take care of that and scrape it and sort it out in that kind of form of fashion as I've just read it. But in this society, as I just read to you, got 88,000 houses or households that have mold in it. And this is the reason why this planet Earth needs to be governed by profitable people. Just like it mentions in the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10, man. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10, it says that the power of the earth, Salakia. It reads, the power of the earth is in the hands of the Lord, and he giveth to whomsoever he will, and even unto those that are profitable. I'm roughly paraphrasing that scripture, right? And the profitable people to rule the planet Earth are the Israelites, because we were the ones that were given the manuscript on how to do things correctly. So this reads, last year, Gov, the Secretary of State for Leveling Up Housing and Communities, promised to introduce a WAP's law setting tough deadlines for landlords to fix moldy homes. After 2 years old, Awab Ashak died from that's the kid. From prolonged exposure to black mold in his family in Rochdale social housing flats. Right. So yeah, the baby boy, as you can see there, that was his name, Awab Ashak, as I can quite remember now. Yeah, it's all coming back to me now. And as I'm going to say, this is what the priests would do. The priests would come in and sort this out. They would open up the book of the law, and they will read the Levitical law on on house mildewing, and they will apply this knowledge. All right, that's what you would have. But instead, you don't have priests that are good at the book of the law. What you have is priests that are into little children, and that's into Satanism. This is the world we live in. So this is why we have all kind of issues out here in this planet Earth, because you have Satanists that are ruling the planet Earth, and a lot of us are serving as a result of it. So this is why we call, as righteous men, as we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be calling on Yahweh Shai, man, in mind, body, and soul and spirit, to bring this system down, to set up the righteous kingdom, so that we can do things the correct way here on this earth, and this earth can breathe, okay, and be under the influence of righteousness. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to read some stuff on here, which really I don't have to read this, because this article actually tells you what mold causes. So I don't have to go there. But anyway, I want to touch on something differently. I want to change the topic a little bit. And I want to put this out here, which is very symbolic of the times that we're living in, that Esau is definitely losing their grip concerning their power. And what this article is also saying is that the parliament, no one wants to work in it because it's cold, it's got rats and all kind of as this article reads, man, I might as well just read it, because it's giving all of that away. So this reads, Labor leader Carl Starmer is among those shunning the 19th century palace of Westminster in the mid-falling masonry, leaky roofs, and freezing temperatures. So this reads, voiced by, I'm not going to play that. I don't have to read that. Excuse me. My brain's going a bit too quick. Let me slow down. Let me calm the hell down. Yeah, so this reads, London. It turned out working in a palace isn't all that it's cracked up to be. So anyways, it reads, London, it turns out working in a palace isn't all it's cracked up to be, right? As the UK Parliament returns for a gloomy January sitting, political staffers are dreading the prospect of spending more time in the cold, crumbling houses of Parliament. Instead, many are choosing hybrid working. Some come into the office as little as humanly possible, and even the leader of the opposition, Carl Starmer, prefers to work out of Labour's modern Southwark headquarters across the river at least 2 days a week, colleagues privately admit. Right, and while some staff still relish working in the historic building in the heart of London. So this reads, plenty of others believe the simple lure of power and the fierce competition for jobs mean politicals put up with conditions few employees elsewhere would continue. So I'm going a bit somewhere else down here, right? The point is that people that usually work at the parliament don't want to work there because you got what is it, leaky roofs, as they say, and rats roaming around in the place as well. And that's not good. Okay, that's not a good thing, because the parliament is where everything took place. The parliament is where the power comes from. So when you have issues in the parliament house that could have been taken care of financially, that's very well telling you that they're losing their grip. They're losing it, because this should have already been taken care of. This should have never came out on no news, and no news should have put this out there to show the falling of the building itself. Okay, but it just goes to show you once again that the triumphing, as it is written in the book of Job, chapter 20 and verse 5, right? Let's start with verse 4. Knowest thou not of old? Let me read this correctly. Salakia. Knowest thou not of this of old, since man was placed upon the earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment, though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, and yet he shall perish forever, like his own dung, and they shall have seen him, shall say, where is he? Right? And I want to jump down to verse 9. And the eye also which saw him shall see him no more, and neither shall his place any more behold him. Exactly. So that time was going to come where literally Esau is going to lose his place here on this earth. The position of power that the Lord has given him, he's going to take that from him, and as well as his place. As well as this reads too. Because when Esau falls down, guess what they're going to end up? They're going to end up as our slaves. So in that, they're not going to possess no land, and we're going to have to get rid of them eventually, according to the book of Obadiah 1 and 18. So this reads that they may possess the remnant of Edom, and all of the heathen which are called by my name, save the Lord, that do of this. Exactly. So we're going to possess their place. Now, I believe it says in the scriptures too, that they of the south shall possess it. And the day of the south is referring to the tribe of Judah. So Judah's land is going to have to be extended. Let me see if I could read that as well. Day of the south. Day of the south. Excuse me. Day of the south. Yeah, that's it right there. There you go. There you go. Con. Obadiah 1 and 19. Yeah, this reads, and they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, and they of the plain of the Philistines, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim, and the fields of Samaria, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead. So yeah, that's telling you right there that they of the south are going to possess Esau, the mount of Esau, and which goes back to the book of Amos. The book of Amos, as I just read in the book of Amos 9, and I think it's verse 13 or 14. Let's see what we got here. No, I was wrong. It's in verse 12. There you go. So yeah, according to Obadiah 1 and 19, that tells you that we're going to possess the border of Edom. So their place will no longer be to behold them. And as well as we know that according to even the book of Revelations, the 12th chapter, which in this case is talking about America primarily, because that's where all that dirty work that Esau did unto our people, or unto the Lord's people, I will say, is at. So that land is going to be severely judged. So that's why this reads, and there was war in heaven, Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels and prevailed not, and neither was their place found any more in heaven. Exactly. So neither was their place found anymore in heaven. So they didn't have, after America's all said and done, they're not going to have anywhere else to go. And just to fast forward to the 1,000-year period, after that, we're going to get rid of them. Okay? We're going to get rid of the whole entire nation, and that's going to be well spoken about all throughout history. And it's like Vocab Malone, and as well as other Christian heads that have came out saying that, oh yeah, well, how could you talk about the Edomites when the Edomites were done away with? We would have already known about that, because an eradication of a race is a big thing. That's not something that you just tuck under the rug and that's forgotten about out of history. No, that's something that's always going to be remembered. Just like what is remembered today about the flood. All of these other nations somehow, some way have records of. That is remembered because that was a big event. So if a whole race has been, if there's a genocide of a race that actually happened here on this earth, you best believe that's going to be spoken about in the history books. Okay? No one's going to forget about that, because that's a great incident. All right? So you would have found the date, the location, on where it happened at. But evidently there's no evidence on that. Okay, so it's just people making stuff up that don't want to agree with the fact that they may very well be Edomites themselves. And they want to get away from being Edomites. So they just blurt that out there and say, oh, well, the Edomites were done away with. No, the Edomites are still alive and kicking and ruling the planet Earth. But when Yahushua gets back here, we're going to be kicking their ass next. So that's all I got to say on, brothers, man. Hopefully you got something out of this video. All in the spirit of Yahweh Bashmi Yahushua Bashim Rakah Hakwadash, as I praise, and as well as giving salutations to the Akim as well, within 144,000, and including the 1/3 that do follow the brethren that do teach this gospel. Lord willing, we're of that number. So with that I say, Shalom.